Actually, you know what? If we're about to start right now, I'm going to pee real quick because it's all welling up in my bits. Okay. Now, to save time, I didn't wash my hands, but I did pee on my hands, which I think kills all the germs.
I have come on a mission of gravest consequence, for I am the Watcher, member of an ancient race far older than man. But though our power is great, we are pledged only to watch, never to interfere. But now mankind faces the greatest danger it has ever known, the danger of
the Watchers of Earth. 199,999.
Welcome to the Watchers of Earth 199,999. I am your host, Andrew, and joining me as always is my co-host, Seth.
Yep.
Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today because he was exposed by Seth for trying to get me killed out in the desert.
See, we talked too much. We forgot what happened.
We're doing this 34 minutes into the recording of the episode. We're actually starting the episode. Our fourth co-host, though, Uatu, is here, but is sworn only to watch.
You getting tired of this Uatu guy showing up?
I am getting super
not
tired.
Interfering. So today we watched episode 6 of What If? Killmonger rescued Tony Stark, which originally aired September 15th, 2021, directed by Brian Andrews, and written by Matthew Chauncey. An American soldier called Killmonger rescues Tony Stark when his Humvee is attacked in Afghanistan. So, Andrew, in a sentence or less, what did I think? I hated this so much, and I hope you have a thing to say that will give me a second put-up.
I hated this so much. I do have 2 put-ups, but they are...
One of them putting up with this goddamn show?
I hated this one. This is my second least favorite episode of the entire series.
What's your least favorite? Have we watched it yet?
We have not watched it yet.
Okay. So I got things to look forward to.
I feel like this one has nothing to say, has nothing to do. It's just kind of there.
Well, you got me last time. I'll get you this time. Let's jump in, shall we? Cut here. So, this episode brings us Tony Stark. Boom. You absolutely loathe him. Boom. Me? Don't care for him. Also brings us Killmonger. Who the fuck cares? Now one, then other things happen, and those are boring too. And there's this weird thing where Killmonger is behind it all, and he knows everything, and he's super smart, but none of it makes any fucking sense. End scene. But, really, what's...
So 2 put-ups and a put-down. No, I mean, I agree. I feel like this episode doesn't really have anything to say. I think you could do interesting stuff with Killmonger because Killmonger is one of the more interesting villains of the Marvel Universe up until he turns into evil Black Panther, and then his motivations completely change entirely. And so this could have been a chance to actually do something with him, but he's the exact same character doing the exact same stupid mustache twirling bullshit that everybody does, where there's no subtlety to anything. Everything is completely face value, and everybody looks like a moron for not seeing through it.
Mm-hmm.
None of it makes any sense. It's so boring. This is also one that I think this rivals the first episode for one that is so heavily tied to the movies it's based on.
Yes.
It is so heavily tied to the first Iron Man movie. I mean, honestly, only for the opening scene, and then it cuts entirely. But from then on, it's basically just let's do Black Panther again, but completely from the villain's perspective, and change a couple things. But for the most part, it's mostly the same thing. The same general gist of Killmonger's beats happen. It's just that Tony Stark is a part of it for a bit. And you know me, I fucking hate Tony Stark, so seeing him around, and he's not even the redemption Tony Stark that we sort of get in the movies. He is just, in the end, he sounds and acts exactly the same, but then it's just framed by the fact that he's completely unrepentant.
Yeah,
I hate it. I hated this one. This one sucks.
It's really bad. I don't know.
What is there to say about it?
That's the problem.
He saves Tony Stark. It doesn't matter. The timeline also doesn't make a ton of sense, which doesn't matter. But like Iron Man took place almost 10 years before the events of Black Panther. And I mean, how old is Michael B. Jordan? He's like maybe early 30s.
Well, it doesn't matter how old Michael B. Jordan is. It matters how old Eric Killmonger is.
That's what I'm getting at. Is like this takes place more or less a decade
Wait, is
before.
his name Eric Killmonger?
No. I don't think so, because it's a nickname, but it's his name on his stupid uniform. But then his uniform is his Super Saiyan uniform that he wears in the movie that he just made, not the uniform that he would wear when he was on duty. And then there's that part later when he talks to Rhodey, and he's like, why would you wear the uniform of your oppressors? And I'm like, dude, you're also in the army. What are you talking about? And then at the funeral, he wears the uniform of his oppressors at the funeral because he's wearing his like white, like I'm at a funeral
Navy,
uniform.
yeah.
Like, fuck this episode. I fucking hated it.
It's so bad. It felt so long too.
It feels like it goes, and I mean, in its defense, I did pause it halfway through because my cat started destroying my apartment.
I did not pause it halfway through.
But it felt so long. I kept thinking, like, aren't we done yet? This is also the one of these episodes that feels like a fucking Marvel movie where at the end we have to have a big stupid fucking CGI battle, which is boring. Yeah. And normally, like, the action is framed better, but with only one exception, this is framed just as bad as the movies are, where it's just like a bunch of like wide static shots. This is also at the beginning. You had said in the first episode, I said the animation and like character designs I think look nice. And you said, it looks kind of like a Telltale game. And I can see why you say that, but I was like, I think it looks fine. This one looked like a Telltale game. I think a lot of it is just like making sure that Tony Stark looks like Tony Stark, but he looks like so rigid. Mm-hmm. It looked bad. At the beginning when he was like running around and there was like the gunshots and everything, it looked horrible. It looked like a video game cutscene.
And it's not fair to the show for me to say this, but during like the party scene,
the people in the background that were just like
they're at like 4 frames.
Yeah.
I understand that is not where you're going to devote your animation budget, but it was just funny it was very noticeable, and it looked like a conscious choice, but it looked like the bad choice to make on that. So, okay, I mean, what do we gotta have an episode on this, or do you want to just throw up our 30-minute conversation and pad it out? So,
what do you want to say about this?
I want to say how much it blows. So, okay, we start off with Iron Man in 2008 in the movie, and that happens, and the movie happens, but Killmonger, instead of the missile going off, Killmonger shows up, and he's like, I'm gonna throw this bomb. And then Tony goes, you're cool. You're the bomb. And then Killmonger's
bomb.com. It's 2006.
And then Killmonger is like, yep. And then Tony goes, you're gonna be my
Chief of Security.
Chief of Security. You're gonna monger.
And then
my
Happy
kills.
goes, that was supposed to be my promotion that I didn't get until 3 movies in.
And then, yeah, but we saw the movie, so we're like, ha 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 ha. And then there's a press conference where everyone's just like, hey, Tony, that was cool that you lived, but like, why was this guy there? And he's like, I don't care. And then Obadiah Stane's like, yeah, I don't care. Everybody out. And then Killmonger's like, Obadiah Stane's a bad guy. And then everyone's like, and then
this is completely different from how it worked in the movie.
And then Killmonger is like, I'm gonna murder people. We gotta steal vibranium. No, he's like,
I gotta steal he's like, I have a little tiny bit of vibranium in my necklace so that we can make
before that,
Gundams.
Tony goes, hey, you're gonna be, now that we've murdered Obadiah Stane, you're my chief of staff. And then Killmonger is like, but I'm a soldier. And he's like, I don't care. You're smart. And I was like, is he though?
I don't remember what they said. I do remember they say like, he is, okay.
He invents a fucking Gundam at MIT.
Well, that's what I was going to say. In the original Black Panther movie, he is said to be smart. I don't remember if they said like, I know they talked about his school. I don't remember what they said. I don't remember if he studied anything remotely similar to what he shows to be capable of in this, but they do say like he's smart, like, you know, he's basically like a chess master.
Yeah,
he sees 10 steps ahead of everybody, so like I get that. But then he's like, my thesis when I was at MIT was to build fucking mechs, and I was like,
that's more than a soldier. Like if you built mechs at MIT, you could probably tell Tony like, yeah, I'll take over. So anyways, he made a design for a mech. And then he has a vibranium necklace, and they melt that down later in the movie after I talk about what happens next.
Well, they melt that down to build the mech later, but then later on, when General Ross is like, build me a whole bunch of mechs, they're like, yeah, we can do that. And I'm like, what? With what vibranium?
With the vibranium they steal from Claw, because Claw gets involved.
I thought that vibranium... Oh, maybe they did get a hold of that. Okay, I take that back. I forgot. I thought that was I thought the Dora Milaje showed up and took that because he's like, the Dora Milaje will be here soon.
Yeah, but see, but
No,
you
you're
gotta read
right.
between the lines.
This episode's great.
So Claw,
I'm the idiot.
yeah. So they're like, hey, we gotta get Claw to give us stuff, and then everyone's like, but that's like a black market dealer, and then he's like, yeah, but like, who cares? Tony's gonna get fucked on this deal, and then they're all like, okay, yeah, we'll send Rhodey. Sure, why not? And then everything goes bad. Rhodey dies. Black Panther shows up and dies. Michael B. Jordan's behind it all. He steals the vibranium, makes robots with General Ross.
Well, so he shows up and Tony immediately knows what's going on because
he did his like
Jarvis is able to just like see what happened in that room.
He did his Iron Man 3 thing where he sees the plot of the film.
He's like, I'm gonna lock you in this room with me, but then dramatically reveal my giant robot, which should kill you, but instead of like, I don't know, firing with a giant massive gun on its arm, it instead just like kicks him into a wall and then just keeps slowly walking towards him so that he can like climb up on its back and like, tear its head off. It's so fucking stupid. I was like, this man should be dead. This robot is completely ineffective because it doesn't fire a single fucking bullet at the guy. Like if it had pointed its gun at him and started firing and he was just like, oh, I'm like too fast for it, I'd be like, whatever, this is like a fucking,
I mean, Killmonger is too fast, too furious. I mean, I think Tony says that Killmonger programmed it, so maybe Killmonger thought 12 moves ahead and programmed it to be inefficient.
Just in case it's used again.
He
should have been like, you should have looked better at my schematics. I made it so that it like can't see me.
Yeah, then he like delivers them to Claw for some reason. The army's just like, go take these to a place that we don't know where it's at. He just takes them to Claw, right? This is a thing that happens.
Yes, and then he and Claw get in a Jeep and drive to Wakanda, and then Claw's like, hey, if you turn on headlights at this
you can
hologram, you can see the fucking...
See, the trick is turning on your high beams. and then it reveals the entirety of Wakanda.
And then he's like, all right, well, watch out. We don't want to be on the end of their spears. And then he's like, well, I'm going to shoot you with this gun in the head, but then later on, you're not going to have a bullet in your head.
So then he carries him across the desert instead of drives the car. I guess the car can't drive through. The car can't drive through the
reason
barrier.
He carries it is because it has to be the same scene from the movie. Remember in the movie?
Oh, yeah, I saw that movie. But wait, so hold on. Why can't the car go through? Why can't the robots go through?
Because he doesn't have a car in the movie. Because it's something about like if the robots go, maybe the force field they physically can't make it through.
Why?
So how he gets through, I don't know.
Yeah,
because
so
that's how it works.
Question.
Well, that's how it works in Infinity War as well. Is like the force field physically keeps things out. But then there's something about like if they open the force field later on at the end of the movie when
it'll cut off the data.
Yeah, it'll like cut off the signal. But then he has like his own like car beeper thing
that makes them all fight again. Oh my god, this is stupid.
I hated this.
So
it's so boring. There's a big stupid scene. It doesn't matter how he got in because we wanted to have the scene from the movie.
I hate every scene with Pepper Potts where she's like, I know something's weird. And I hate the scene at the end, or I hate all the scenes with Mrs. Black Panther, or her sister Black Panther, who's like, this is weird. You say Shirley?
Shuri.
Oh, Shirley Panther. When she's like, why do you trust him, Papa? And he's like, because he's home. And I was like, I know what you're doing, movie, but like, it's super obvious that he's the bad guy.
He, like, every time he does anything, he smirks. Like, again, it's like in Loki, where everyone's like, can Loki be trusted? And he's like twirling a fucking mustache. It's fucking stupid. I hated this. And like, it's one of those things, like, I don't want to be the one that's like, the one based on Black Panther is the worst What If episode, but it's the fucking worst What If episode. And it's not because it's based on Black Panther. Oh, you're right.
So
we haven't gotten to the worst one.
Now, I'm the bad guy, because this is the worst What If episode. I mean, I don't know. I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't care when he takes
so boring. And I think part of it is, like, again, I think there's a decent idea for, like, a What If, just in, like, you know, watch how things spread differently if these events intersect in a different way. There's a decent like thought experiment happening. It's
like the Avengers overall. Exist.
But there's a decent thought experiment happening. The problem is it like just explores it in boring directions. But it's also just like, I don't know, part of the what if stuff is like seeing different things. Like, what if Killmonger became Black Panther? I think is a more interesting episode than what if Killmonger became Tony Stark's best friend and then killed him and then at the end he becomes Black Panther, but we don't actually see that happen. Like, we see it happen, but we don't watch an episode of him being Black Panther. Like, it's just boring. Like, I think a fun what if idea is like, what if X is Y? Like, again, as much as I didn't care for the What If T'Challa was Star-Lord episode, like, there's an interesting basic idea there of, like, how would this character be a different version of this hero?
See, I don't necessarily think, and I mean, this is talking about total hypotheticals, so whatever, it can be whatever you want it to be. But like, I don't think What If Killmonger was Black Panther is as interesting, or is like the interesting nugget in something like this, in this proposal. I think it's like, Killmonger rescuing Tony Stark effectively makes Iron Man not a thing. Like, that's way more interesting to me.
I agree. I guess what I'm just saying is, like, for a Killmonger story, we basically just watch the same Killmonger story. I think a more interesting Killmonger story is, like, Killmonger gets what he wants and becomes Black Panther, and then we watch that, and either that makes him a better person, or we get a world with a worse Black Panther. Instead, we just basically watch the same story of Killmonger again. Like, we just watched what he did in Black Panther again, just with, like,
Tony,
a couple little bits of zest. It just takes a couple little tiny turns, but we're basically just watching, like, instead of, like, he just takes a different route home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he ends at the same, more or less, like, I guess his destination in the movie is dead, and in this it's Black Panther, but, like, the destination is what's interesting, not the route.
Yeah.
Like, the route is more or less the same. And, like, I don't know, if they had gone instead, like, what if him saving Tony Stark, Tony makes an Iron Man suit for him or something.
Yeah.
And like, what if we just get like a weird what if version of Avengers where like, what if Obadiah Stane becomes, the Iron Man? And what if, Killmonger becomes Black Panther and
Iron Panther.
Loki shows up instead of Thor. And it's like, instead of like the Avengers becoming a team for good, instead it's like, I don't know, who cares? The fucking Revengers. And they're just like, instead of having a hero team, instead there is an evil team that just like takes over.
The Thunderbolts.
Yeah, but I mean, like, or if it's just like, let's remix the team, and like, how would things be different if like, Natasha never left the Red Room? What if?
Well, like Tony, Killmonger rescuing Tony, have Killmonger be his chess master, and then like turn Tony into like a weird evil, like a weird evil version of Nick Fury, where he's like providing everybody with all the kits and things like that, but like Killmonger makes him think he's doing good work since he's in the arms dealing anyways, but he's like really like not. Boom. That's
a way more interesting.
Yet again, way more interesting. Zero money. One interest.
The problem is like
zero money.
I don't know. That's just this episode is so boring.
Save them money by just saying, okay, what if we just do? So the first 5 minutes are going to be Iron Man, so we don't need to write it. The last 15 minutes are going to be Black Panther, so we don't need to write it. So that's going to save us a ton of money right there. See, we're not thinking in that way. So I was thinking when Killmonger drinks the purple Black Panther serum. Did we had a discussion about what that actually did to the body, didn't we?
Maybe. I don't know.
Like, does that turn him into... That's just like a cultural thing. That doesn't make him stronger.
Oh, no, it does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, I don't think we ever had this conversation. It does. It does give him, like, superpowers.
Doesn't he have superpowers?
What, Black Panther? Killmonger does not.
What are the superpowers?
Black Panther, he has like enhanced speed and strength and recovery.
Guess I just thought,
like that's how he lives at the end of the first movie, is they were able to finally give him the herb again. Because remember, he has to like because the whole reason they can, or the whole way they do that like king trial thing, is he has to take the thing to strip him of his powers. Remember?
You're right. Okay. Don't ever ask me if I remember these. You know the answer.
Don't worry, I don't have to ask you if you remember these. I know for sure you do not. In fact, that's why you should have loved this one, because it just rehashed the movies that you don't even remember.
I can't believe they didn't make this a plot point. I loved the part when Tony Stark got shot in a Humvee line. Well, they should have done that in Iron Man 2008. I don't know. When he talks to T'Challa in the Dreamverse.
I think that's a neat idea to see like T'Challa... Like,
scold him.
Again, completely devoid of anything else. I think it's neat to see him go to the spirit realm and see the last Black Panther, which is T'Challa.
And have him be like, you killed me and you're here because you're an awful person.
But just like seeing like, here's this ghost of T'Challa. Unfortunately, he doesn't really say anything of note. He's just like, everyone gets their due. It's going to come for you eventually.
But it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Right?
But it ends with like,
Shirley is like, hey, we're going to get him. How are they going to get him?
I don't know. Maybe
they just know
Black Panther
thing? They have a common enemy, and they're going to join forces. Because she says, Killmonger killed Tony. And Pepper went, and then she went, but my country is waging war on your country. And she went, I don't know.
It's fucking dumb.
It's so dumb, right?
I hated it. It's stupid. I don't know why she didn't go to her dad with this information. Seems like that would have been the more important person to go to.
Because he loves Michael B. Jordan. They're
but like if she said like, here's my definitive proof that your guy is up to no good.
He'd be like, Shirley, get out. You're a woman. And we are the Black Panthers.
The Black Panther has to be a Black Manther.
Yeah, and you're just Isn't that a plot point in Black Panther where she's like lesser?
No, I don't think
she's
so.
Smart, but like
Not that I recall.
Well, good for them. I'm glad. I'm glad I'm misremembering this. I just assumed they treat her poorly.
Seth, give me 2 put-ups and a
I
put-down.
can't, Andrew. My first put-up is going to be, I don't know. I like the idea when Killmonger is like, hey, I wrote a thesis on a robot. My second put-up is, I like when you made me real. That's a cop-out. I mean, I'm going to need a cop-out here.
Do you want me to give you my 2 and then you
No,
can see if
and
that...
then I can steal yours? No. This is on me, Andrew. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I like when... I'll say I like the press conference where Killmonger's like, hey, I was there because Stain is a bad guy. And then everyone's like... My put down is going to be, I hate, this is probably 34 minutes long. I hate 30 of the 34 minutes. All of it. I wish Killmonger would have rescued me from watching this by putting me out of my misery.
My first put-up is... I liked the Black Panther scene in the dark where he's like taking out a bunch of guys and it's basically just like watching like Batman. It was a better Black Panther scene than any of the live action Black Panther scenes. He was actually like doing superhero stuff and like disappearing into the shadows, and like there's a part where a guy shoots bullets and he like zigzags
That's
out
fair.
of the way.
I'm a little
and again,
biased.
it's something that like in animation they can make him move more interestingly, where if we watched that in the movie, it would have been he would just like, you know, someone shoot and he'd just run in the opposite direction. But this, he like runs towards the guy and like zigzags out of the way of the bullets, and it's just something that like is annoying to film with a live action person, but is like easy to do with, well, quote unquote easy. It involves animators doing hard work. I don't want to...
You just press a button.
But I think that scene is actually very cool. I liked it a lot. I would have rather watched more Black Panther than everything else that happens in this episode.
I'm a little biased on that. We talked about the final scene where all the robots shoot lasers in a wide shot, and it's in the dark. And since I was watching it during the day, the sun was kind of coming through, so all those dark shots kind of had a little glare. And I was like, I wonder if cool things are happening.
Did they have a glare, or did you have a little glare because you didn't want to be watching it?
I was glaring because the glare was glare.
My second put up is going to be, I like when Tony Stark died. I didn't like that I didn't get to actually see it, but...
No, you do.
I mean, you see him go...
Did you close your eyes? Because it was scary.
But you didn't see him actually, like...
He slumps down.
Get killed. Yeah, he slumps down. It was boring. But I don't know.
What did you want?
the
Killmonger to then...
I wanted it to be like what I imagine is happening in your cool vampire badass comic where he just like rips out his entrails and snacks on them.
Okay, all right. I see that.
My put down is going to be, I mean, it was easy for me to find 2 put ups, even if one of them was a cop out. There were 2 things that I did like about this episode. Finding exactly the one thing that I hated more than anything else is difficult.
Yeah, I had the cop out of just the whole episode.
I mean, I think my put down, if I had to pick one thing...
It's hard.
I mean, I hate stuff, individual things... Like, the episode as a whole, I hated more than that final act. But I hate the final act. I hate every stupid, big, dumb battle in these things.
There's not even interesting things going on. I mean, like, the Dora Milaje...
He rides a rhinoceros, and they film it so boring.
And, like,
again,
the robots
animation
aren't doing
can make
anything
this more
interesting.
dynamic. Yeah, the robots are just like stomping around and shooting, and the Dora Milaje it's just so boring. And I hate those big action scenes that all of these movies seem to need to have now, with like a million people and a million things going on, and I just fucking hate it. And you know, I thought we'd get a reprieve from those in these 30-minute episodes, and nope.
To be fair, I think we have.
Big, stupid action scene. We have, but I mean, here we are with one in this one.
Yeah, but I mean, we're 6 episodes in. I don't think all 6 have had it.
No. That's true. I'm just saying, like, we didn't get through the whole series without it.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think we got one in the first episode with Captain Carter.
I don't think so.
It was done.
That one,
it was directed better, but I think it was still like a big fight scene. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're just arguing over small differences. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, tell a friend. If you didn't, then lie to a friend. Check us out on Twitter at SoHowAbout. You can find me on Twitter at SethKumpf. You can find Andrew on Twitter at TessuDownist. And subscribe to us on YouTube at SoHowAbout.
And join us next time when we do this once more with interference.
Watcher. Boop.
Seth, what are we watching next time?
I'm so glad you asked. Well, Andrew, we're going to be watching episode 7 of What If, which is What If Loki did not exist, in which I assume Thor is an only child. And if Thor is an only child, isn't Thor an only child?
What do you mean?
Like, Loki's not his it's his stepbrother.
It's not even his stepbrother, it's his adopted brother. But it's his brother, he's
Yeah, I
not
guess-
an only child. Like,
I guess that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to really do for me.
I will say that one's very different.
Ooh, all right. Now it's doing a lot for me.